Um, okay, we're live. Lesson live testing the Socratic lesson, guys. Uh, yes, we are doing this. We're testing the Socratic lesson because I've made a bunch of improvements and made just a little bit about the uncertainty stuff. That has been a while since I talked about it. And I think people kind of, in a way, lose a bit that away from their sort of radar. Remember the whole thing that we're working on, right? So Omega Quest. Um, it's a piece. So Socratic lesson. It's all pieces of a bigger vision. Okay, so we've got actually here, it's an open stack framework, educational acceleration framework, right? That we're working on. So we have like three main aspects that we are building on. So we're building on Omega Quest, we're building on Open Companion, we're building on Open Lesson. Those are open source initiatives. And then the Omega Quest as well as mining human cognition, right? This is the data layer, this is the software layer, and this is the hardware layer. Okay. And what I've done now is I've linked actual projects connected to each of these specific working blocks, right? So on the Omega Quest, it's been most of our focus until now, and I've improved that a lot as well. So I'm kind of like since inception, I worked a lot on trying to find the best concept for everything. Um, and essentially we started with the bounties, we started with the marketplace, and if you've been following the project along, you realize that I've been actually shaping a lot very fast, very quickly. And we've come to a concept that I think it's the one that we're really launching with, right? Which is basically that concept of Omega Quest that I said with at the very beginning of like we're mining human cognition, we're trying to build the world's largest open data set for human reasoning. And I've combined all the ideas that worked and turned them into a partner, like a partner program, right? So now you can go and become a partner. That's something that it's kind of like closed at the moment. There's basically 7 people already that are in the queue to launch as partners, and there's 3 spots left. If you want one of these spots left, let me know. Okay, just DM me. But essentially, we're going to be doing sort of that as using a partner concept, right? The idea of the partner concept is the following. The idea is you can become a data creator, you can become a field agent, or you can basically invest in, right? I mean, that's kind of open for everyone. So you can invest in these Omega farms as well, and we're actually adding new farms soon. We're adding Solana farms, and we're adding other currency farms as well. I need to get like refine the bot tech that is underneath these, but you're gonna be able to invest in these mining sites, and yeah, heck, maybe I'm thinking that should also just be vetted for partners. I want to make sure that I grow Omega Quest in a way that people that are involved actually contribute a net positive to the program. So essentially, um, you're gonna have you're gonna have the possibility to contribute and become a partner. And as I said, there's 7 people already in the queue. There's 3 spots left. And the idea is if you want to become a data creator, we're going to help you launch that as a program of your own. So we're actually going to launch it. You're going to be able to buy a mining pass, and I'll be launching these very, very, very soon. Because I'm already working with the first partner that is going to be. And so what I've done is basically kind of when it comes to Omega Quest, and this has been the focus for the past 2 to 3 weeks, condensate all the stuff that has worked into a partner program. So now we have the partner program that has these 3 different aspects to it. A field agent, if you want a hardware device that streams data passively and you want to earn out of these and sell us the data. A mining side investor, if you just want to actually stake your coins and power actual mining farms for synthetic data. And a sort of a data creator kind of path where we launch you as someone who's going to provide data on a monthly basis to the data. And I recommend that you go and check out omegaquest.com. Now we also have an example of how the data set is going to look like, right? So we have a bit of the story, the backstory of the data set, how this whole concept was recognized by Andrei Karpathy back last year. But I mean, this goes way beyond, right? If I started the YouTube channel on 2019, and I'm like, fuck, that's 7 years ago, because it's like 2026 already, right? And so the idea here is that, I kind of talk about through the 7 years of thinking out loud. Like, there's a bunch of videos in here of me thinking out loud. There's a link to the entire YouTube channel as well. So you can actually go this for yourself. There's literally 625 fucking videos. The average of these is like 40 minutes, right? So just do the math in your head and think about how much data it's. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing, what we'll be streaming from now on. We're going to have the partner program running, but we're going to be streaming from now on. How do we turn that into training data, right? So here's a few examples of like going from the raw video to an actual merge record of what is that we're going to do. And we're going to spend our resources on these to actually turn these into a data set that we can then host in Hugging Face, right? So there's going to be like a public data set that is going to be free to access, and there's going to be a paid data set. And if you're supporting the project, you're going to get like a 10% out of this sales revenue. So essentially, just so that you understand where things have been going, right? I've played with bounties, I've played with the marketplace, I've played with bot trading, I've played with a few things for the. This really sort of led to that concept. This, I think, sets Omega Quest, which is the data layer, in a good spot to just run, right? So if you want to become a partner, hit me up. Currently, I'm onboarding 10 partners. There's 3 slots left. And that's it, basically. So this is Omega Quest, and I'll be streaming more about how I'm crafting. That's on one side. Then it's time to slowly move towards the other 2 pieces of the system. It's time to move to like experimenting with Open Lesson, with Open Companion. And if you've been following some of the previous videos, the previous live streams as well, you've seen that I've also deployed Socratic Lesson. Socratic Lesson is a very early test. I'm gonna do another test session now. In the next couple of minutes, we'll start the test. So what is Socratic Lesson? Socratic Lesson is a system. It's basically a harness. It's like an LLM harness that is supposed to basically give you the tools to learn something, right? To actually learn something. If you want to learn something nowadays, what do? You go to brilliant.org, or you go to like whatever like online course website, and that's it, right? But that's very narrow, and that's very much very old school, right? It's like someone's giving you the material already pre-chewed for you, and then you actually have to just hope that that's how you're going to learn the best, right? Hope that the way this material is structured is actually going to empower you to learn what you're trying to learn. So the whole point, and that's why we're doing the thing with Omega Quest. That's why we're doing we're building the data set, right? We're building this data set so that we can actually understand, so that the models can actually understand how we really think and how can they really help us optimize learning, right? And Socratic Lesson is basically these. So the idea is you pick a topic, right? And there's a list of topics here that you want to, that you can pick as examples, but you can also just copy paste something here, or you just copy paste the problem, right? I have never tested it with a problem. Maybe it's something we can do in the next session. What I want to do now is I want to pick something from, I don't know, calculus. Yes, and we can do like, what is the intuition behind integration? See how that works. Okay. So the idea is you click in here and then you start, right? The way this works is the following. So this is preparing the lesson for you. So you're gonna start with a question. You can connect an EEG device to these, right? So, and we can do. Oh, that's gonna work because it's been tested. Well, I don't know if it has. It's guys, it's live. I mean, you can go to the website and do this on your own. You don't have to use an EEG device if you don't want to. But you can use an EEG device like the Muse, to actually stream your brainwave system because we want that data as well. Let's see. First, let's open Bluetooth. Let's open Bluetooth. Um, we open Bluetooth. We're gonna see if we can use this here. I'm gonna. Okay, so it's paired, and what it's telling us is that we've got the 4 sensors actually streaming data correct. Um, so and now we can check the microphone. Microphone is ready. Because the idea is we're gonna be talking out loud. Okay, so the starting question is if integration measures total accumulation, what is it accumulating that differentiation as rate of change that's not already. Okay, so let's start this thing. And how this works is like that. You have this interface where you have the question from the tutor, and you can either go deeper, right, and see what is, sort of expand the question, or you can ask as well, right? You can ask your own question as a follow-up. Those are new. And essentially, the tutor is monitoring you all the time, right? So as I'm talking through, it's going to try to understand: am I having like a gap? Is the tutor need to jump in and actually and actually ask me like a follow-up question, right? The tutor wants to understand: am I actually understand what the topic is? So we want to build intuition behind integration. And the question is, if integration measures local accumulation, what is it accumulating that differentiation as a rate of change? That's not already. So I think the way that I like to think about these, because I know a bit about the topic, um, is that rate of change is in a way very, very local, right? So rate of change is gonna tell you something about us. It's gonna tell you about how. So rate of change and differentiation is gonna tell you how a function is over time, or if you look at a specific plot, it's gonna tell you what the kind of change is at that point in time. Whereas integration is telling you how, like, what is it that, like, what's the it's in a way kind of a sizing metric, right? It's telling you what is the function sort of under it. I like to see this visually, but it's kind of accumulating and they are related, right? I mean, I know that that inverse, they are the inverse of each other, right? The idea is, of course, the more like the more the rate of change is increasing, um the more area underneath, the more sort of space you're absorbing, right? And there's like also the equivalent of the opposite sign in terms of the how the rate is changing, I think. But to be honest, I'm actually realizing that I'm not so much sure I understand the intuition between one being the inverse of the other. Because usually being the inverse of something means that it kind of undoes it. Like I am undoing something. Like the inverse of multiplication is division, right? So it's kind of in a way, I'd be like, okay, I multiply 2 by 3, and then the way that I undo this operation is dividing the result, which is x, by 2, right? It's like but then differentiating and integrating, it's odd in terms of how are they the inverse of each other, actually. I mean, I'm not so sure these falls into the integration intuition question. So I'm gonna nudge the tutor. So I can press space and nudge the tutor. What that's gonna do is I'm gonna ask the tutor to give me a follow-up question that I can actually deepen my knowledge. And I can navigate back to the other question if I want to and keep asking stuff, or I can go to this one, which is how does total accumulation differ from simply summing up this. Well, it doesn't, right? I mean, that's the whole point, is total accumulation, but that goes away from what I was asking. But anyway, it helps me, which is that it's not that it differs, right? What it's doing is actually total accumulation is the sum of the discrete parts. It's just the sum of the discrete parts taken to the very sort of infinite, infinite section under like that function, right? So if a function is like a smooth curve, and then if you're doing like, if you have all the, you know, uh, maybe I should have, you know what? Actually, I think I should integrate a canvas here. I think that would be cool. Something that I can like open the canvas and like draw stuff. You know what I mean? That's a great feature addition. I'm gonna build that in the next day. That's actually very, so that I can actually paint stuff, and even like if I'm on the phone or I'm on a tablet, I can. And that also is going to give information to the tutor whether I'm understanding something or not. Notice that the whole point is this. The whole point is there is, you see the observing pattern here. There's an LLM that is deciding whether it should actually give me a follow up or not. If I start doubting, it should actually give me a follow up question. To try to help me correct what it is that I'm not actually. Anyway, I'm just conscious of the time because I have like 25 minutes. In the past days, all my family is sick, so I'm kind of trying to stream whenever I can. Um, how does accumulation differ from simply summing? Well, let me ask a question. So, um, it doesn't differ, right? Let's send this to the LLM. See what, because that is, it's a great question, and it gets right to the heart of the understanding integration. So while okay, that's a little you can see actually I need to. Well, it might seem like total accumulation is just summing out discrete parts. When we're dealing with continuous changes, for constant speed, time your speed, you get an approximation. Yeah, okay, okay, I get it, I get it. It's just what it's saying is it's not the same because it's the infinite case. Okay, so that's already what I meant. Um, I think my intuition behind integration is what makes accumulation continuous. Well, it's easy. I mean, it makes it continuous because of the fact that the functions are basically smooth in terms of phase of the shape of. Um, if you have a very jagged function like a step function or something, then it's actually easy. Then it's actually kind of, you do actually have this discrete sum of steps. You can see the iteration be the area. I don't know. I think I'm looking for maybe another thing that I should do is like a 360 button where maybe the tutor is going to tell me something completely. He's going to ask me something completely different, right? Because I feel like I'm stuck in an area where I know what I'm saying. Um. All right. What does total imply here? That rate does not. As I said, to me, this is more like rate is the rate of change. So rate is just talking about the surface, right? Rate is telling you. The rate doesn't tell you, right? Like the rate doesn't tell you what's actually happening globally. The rate is telling you what's happening at the surface of a function like that. Is the function like that? Is the function, is it growing? Is it increasing? But it doesn't really care whether you're, if you think in 2D dimension, whether you're like on a y-axis, you're like at 1 or 2, or you're like at 100. The rate of change is going to be the same, um, but the integration is not. So essentially, the total is capturing that magnitude at the sort of the scale of like the function completely. It just captures the total, captures in a way they capture things that are complementary, right? So the rate is going to capture the shape surface, and total is going to capture kind of the size and the impact. Anyway, I'm going to end this session. I want to show you what's going on. When you finish the session, you get these, right? So you get essentially um you get the recording of the data, and you get a summary. Okay, so the audio could not be saved. That's something I need to fix. What is maybe coming in a second. I have to fix that probably because the audio is something that we want to keep, right? I mean, the LLM has been analyzing it, so but we definitely want to keep it stored at the end. You want to be able to come back to these. Same with the E. I think that's just a, but it's essentially you have a session reporting here, right? So And that's going to tell you. So you have a summary of like the four probes, like the four questions that you've gone through, and you can actually explore them offline here. So you can actually click, and you can go deeper, and you can ask further questions after this. And then you have a summary that it tells you like, hey, Socratic tutoring session review. So it's an 8-minute session and explore these, blah, blah, blah. So key gaps identified. So gap one, script versus screen simulation. The students struggle to articulate how total accumulation. Yeah, but it's true. I mean, I did struggle to articulate how total accumulation differs from the simple sum of that of discrete parts. I didn't say that right away, which maybe it was just not obvious the way that I said this. Is suggests a lack of understanding rather the limit process. No, I know that, bro. I didn't say that. I should have said this out loud. The nature of continuous accumulation, explaining what makes accumulation continuous rather than discrete. And then the students still need clarification of what total implies in the context of the grade. It doesn't cover because I asked the question, right? This is because I asked the so it's telling me the progress, it's telling me my strengths. And then it's telling me what are the areas to improve, right? So suggested next steps: visualize the Riemann sums, analogy practice, conceptual questioning. So I think, yeah, but as I said, a bit of a bummer that actually that saved. I'll go and fix it after this. But it's the idea is these: you go to your dashboard and you, I mean, I have tons of these. I have a lot of these sessions here, and you can go back to your sessions, right? So you can kind of revisit your session that right. So the idea is essentially, and you can start a new session. The idea is this: the idea is to basically help you practice. On one side is a tool to help you. It's like training your fucking brain. It's like training. It's like keep yourself, sort of practice thinking out loud, practice thinking in general, um, practice breaking concepts down. And obviously, what we're doing here is we're also capturing your data, right? So what we're doing is that feeds back into the Omega question. So if I go here, here there's a bit of disclaimer that says, that we're collecting and using the data, but also the EEG if you have that. And what I want to, what I want to. So one of the things that I want to take this to is imagine like a Socratic exam. Imagine actually an exam that is like is basically talk through a few questions, talk through a few concepts. The system is going to measure how well and strong you're. That is actually what's going to decide whether you fail, not whether you're calculating whatever. That is more like can you do this like that? And I want to build in the tools as well to be able to do calculations and run code eventually. So it would be actually cool if you can just generate code and run code, maybe type in pseudocode and essentially the AI, the LLM is evaluating everything, the pseudocode that you're writing, after you're putting in here. So I think that would be that would definitely be an interesting one. And I want, and you should be able to ask questions. The whole point is like there's an like we cannot just keep AI aside of learning, right? We need to actually embed AI in the way we learn. So I'm definitely going to add tools. I'm going to add a whiteboarding. I'm going to add like, and I'm going to add like a text box. I'm going to add like maybe like a note taker, right? So you can actually type in stuff and keep those notes, or just draw things and keep those snapshots as well, and then get everything packed into action. So this is definitely the next steps for this. But you can already use it. You can already use it. There's currently a price tag to this. If you're supporting the project, hit me up with a DM. I'm going to pay for the mid tier for you guys. But essentially, it's like you can test it for free once, or you can have 5 sessions a month for $4.99, and you can have unlimited sessions for $49.99. If you if you are supporting this project, hit me up and I'll give you the regular plan. Okay, so I'm going to set you up with a regular plan so you can at least do 5 sessions a month. And again, and it's open source, right? So if you want, you can just download these and run it on your own locally. Not like this is just a service, obviously, right? So you can just run it on your own. And by the way, you can actually configure a lot of things in the. You can configure actually the prompts, so you can configure the model that you're using for asking questions. You can configure also the the prompts of the tutor, like when is it asking for, when is it gonna, how is it detecting the gaps in knowledge, when is, you know, when how is it asking the opening question and stuff like that. And there's also the whole data privacy here and whatnot, so you can decide what is it that you're sharing, right? No data or transcripts only, or like the whole thing. And what else? And then essentially here you'll be able to upload your own think aloud data. So here you'll be able to upload just yourself thinking out loud if you have that data. And if not, the system is learning from you over time. The idea is that the system is going to learn how do you actually think, and it's going to get better at like helping you. And obviously, we're going to feed the system with this data set. Once we have this data set ready, then we're going to feed it here as well. So you're going to understand. So it's going to be easier to understand for this, how you're learning actually. So this is Socratic Lesson. This is basically the piece that we're building for Open Lesson, right? So it's AI powered adaptive learning. It's adaptive learning, right? That's the piece that is adaptive, sort of instant evaluation, progress tracking, right? There's another layer to these, which is another tool that I'm another project that I'm, which is going to be a tool that is actually doing a planning out of. It's actually doing a long-term sort of planning out of what should you actually learn and how should you approach the general. Socratic learning and Socratic lesson is just one way of doing it. So I think that's one project. So I'm gonna probably put something. There's gonna be a version for kids, which is gonna be about like learning how to draw. But I'm gonna talk a bit about. So there's just a bunch. There's a lot of things that we can build on top of it, right? That's the whole point. Is to build tools within this framework that actually are open source. You can download them, run them at home if you have a workstation, if you have a local model. If you have a local model, you can actually run these on your own with your own local model, and you know the weights and you know what's happening. So you're not depending on OpenAI to teach you stuff. You know what you know what you're learning through. That's the whole thesis. That's the whole point, right? So again, we're wrapping up Omega Quest. We're wrapping up that stage of the project, as in like I think I figured out a concept. We have the partner program. We're building the data set, but as this is running, we're moving up. We're moving up the stack, right? So we're actually doing Open Lesson now. We're doing Open Lesson, and we will eventually move to Open Campaign. Yes. So guys, I hope you enjoy that, and obviously that's still work in process. I need to actually improve the data stuff that it didn't actually save it well, and I need to make all that maybe more visible. All data. Maybe I'm gonna make data the whole thing that it learns from your own data is not yet activated, but that's the whole point, right? So data sharing preferences. I'm gonna start a new lesson, and I'm gonna microphone ready. Okay, cool. So let's just do that. Actually, guys, give me a second. I'll be back. I'm back. Sorry, it was a package. So I just want to see whether did it you know whether it actually, because I changed the preferences. No, that was not it. That was not it. It seems like a bug. Okay, it's a bug. Oh no, it is. Okay, look at this. Okay, but there's no muse data, and there was a transcript disappear, but the audio is there. Ready? Okay, cool. So let's just do some things here. Okay. Okay, actually, guys, give me a second. I'll be back. That's clunky, but yeah, it is there. Okay, so it was. So maybe if I actually go back to the previous lesson, made. What's the integration? In this case, it didn't actually. No, it didn't actually. I have to debug these, but you get the point, right? You get the point. So, yeah, we keep testing that, we keep building that, but it's already available if you want to, right? And yes, if you want to support this project, if you're supporting this project, um, then just hit me up on X. I'll set you up with stuff. Okay, guys. See you tomorrow. Streaming every day as usual.